Welcome back to another payment talk. Today I'm really delighted to be joined by Fiona Roach-Canning, who is the co-founder and chief marketing officer of Pollinate. Fiona, welcome.
Thanks, Nick. Thanks for having me.
So, Fiona, Pollinate positioned themselves as reconnecting banks with small businesses through payments. Why do small businesses care about payments?
Oh, they don't, Nick. You care about payments.
Yeah, that's true, I do.
Your viewers probably care about payments, so it's probably heresy to say that small businesses don't. But look, small businesses now, especially in this pandemic, payments is probably the 100th thing that they care about. They
Yeah.
care about how to operate in an entirely new world. They care about how to retrain their staff. They care about conserving cash. Um, payments enables them to trade.
Yeah.
And I think for a lot of small businesses for a really long time, it's been seen as a commodity. But hopefully we can change that as you can start to do far more interesting things with the payments data. But yeah, fundamentally, small businesses don't care about payments.
Yeah, I mean you're hurting me to the quick here when you say people don't care about payments because I really care about payments. But you're absolutely right. You know, payment nerds like me love it, but small businesses, I mean, there's so many things for them to worry about right now. So, I mean, how are organisations like yours and banks positioned to help them? What kind of stuff is going on?
So if you think back 30 years ago, I know you're probably not that old, but just
Oh no, I am that old, sadly.
so in your local high street, you would have a small business and they would have a really strong relationship with their bank relationship manager.
Yeah,
And they would go in and discuss their business and their financing needs, but also talk about their business plan more generally, right?
yeah,
And what you've seen over the last 30 years is you've seen that relationship disintermediated, partly because our retailing environment today is far more complicated. So all of a sudden, you've not just got your cafe, you're now selling cakes online and you're trying to push them to social media sites.
yeah,
But you've also got a lot of fintechs who have come in and they're trying to do what the bank would have traditionally done. So whether that's people offering access to finance, for example. And what you see when you talk to small businesses is they've essentially become systems integrators. So they're trying to piece together maybe their payment system with
yeah.
their EPOS. They might have a separate loyalty scheme. And then on a Sunday night, when they want to have Sunday dinner with their family, they're downloading their transactions into a Google sheet to send to their accountant to try and link into their accountancy. And you've got some people who are saying, look, this isn't right. This doesn't make any sense.
Sure.
And whether that's someone like Square coming at it from the payments, or
Uh-huh.
it's somebody like Shopify. I really like Shopify at the moment. And they're coming at it from the e-com online selling point of view. But they all understand in the way they talk to small merchants that, again, small merchants don't care about payments. They care about having everything in one place in a way that just lets small businesses get on with doing what they want to do. And I think banks have historically struggled to compete against those Silicon Valley style startups because they might have legacy systems, they might have legacy technology. And I think what's really interesting is companies like Pollinate that are trying to work with the banks to help them offer that integrated digital experience that
Yeah.
otherwise small businesses are turning to startups for.
Got it. And I mean, you mentioned loyalty there. Card-linked, well, not just card-linked loyalty, but I mean, loyalty is kind of the holy grail in retail, right? So the retailers really want to bring that repeat business. They spend a lot of money bringing people into their stores or onto their websites, and then they want that repeat income. How are you thinking about loyalty as the world moves to digital?
Yeah, so look, small business loyalty is really hard. And most small businesses you talk to actually around the world are really convinced about their own product. And so what they'll say to you is, if I can get new customers in the door,
Mm-hmm.
then they will come because they love my product. And so they'll be trying to manage loyalty schemes, typically that require quite a big change in consumer behavior or a big change in their staff saying to somebody, oh, have you checked in? I can't quite see you on my separate iPad that I've got over here that I don't really know how it works.
Yeah.
And I think the real win for small businesses is to give them the kind of system that your big supermarkets might have. So a Coles in Australia or a Tesco or Sainsbury's in the UK.
Yeah.
And so to use the data that an acquirer would have anyway, or a bank, and just make it all seamless for the small business. I think the other couple of things that are really important are get the value exchange right for consumers. So I think loads of consumers join loyalty schemes, and then you have
And they don't use them, right? How do you keep them?
Exactly. And it used to be because you just couldn't be bothered at the till to go through your wallet and find that stamp card, because you were only spending £7, and so it wasn't worth it for you. Or it's actually giving over quite a lot of personal data for the promise in 6 months' time you might get a free bagel. And I think you can do something clever though if you link. Say, look, if you as a consumer are happy to link the way you pay, your digital payment methods, so whether that be through your phone, using a physical card, could even be open banking enabled.
Yeah.
As long as you as a consumer are willing to give us that information, and you trust your bank to hold that information and deal with it properly, we can calculate all your loyalty in the back end because we see all of that data.
See all of the data, indeed.
Exactly.
So that's kind of card linked or payment linked loyalty. One of the things that's really interesting for me about Pollinate is that for a relatively early stage company, you're kind of working on an international scale. Are the challenges the same in all of the markets that you're looking at, or are they distinct as you move around the world?
I think the fundamental consumer and merchant behaviour is the same.
Right.
So, I mean, if you think as a consumer, actually, I worked at Visa back in the mid 2000s, and one of the most important things for a consumer when they're going to a small merchant is that the small merchant wants to be paid in the way you're paying as a consumer.
Yeah.
And in the UK, we have got more digital payments, and I think the pandemic has sped that up. It sped up a trend that was already happening. In some sectors, though, cash is still king. And a large part of what's driving that, along with the benefits for a consumer about, I can budget better with cash, I have more control of my spending, it might be easier.
Yeah.
Is that they actually think that's the way the small business wants to be paid.
Right.
And you see that to various extent all around the world. So from a consumer perspective, they want convenience, they want budget control, and they want the small merchant to be getting what they want. I mean, how many times have you said to somebody, a small business, would you prefer cash?
Yeah, would you prefer cash?
Yeah.
Well, I mean, not right now, but yeah, absolutely.
And then from a merchant point of view, I mean, they want to control the cost of their payments. They want their staff training to be as easy as possible. But ultimately, they just want to get on with doing what they love, which might be selling the products they want to sell, or it might be making the money they need to support their family. Yeah. But what they love is not payments.
And I guess that's, and what you're telling me is that a disinterest in payments is a universal characteristic. I'm going to have to go and have a little lie down after this, Fiona. One of the things you mentioned there, I just want to come to quickly. You talked about open banking, and I know Pollinate have been involved in this really innovative kind of payments launch with the kind of Captain Tom charity thing in the UK. Can you talk a little bit about what you've done there? I think that's using the open banking rails, right?
Yeah, it is. So NatWest was, I think maybe Coots actually was the banker behind Captain Tom.
Okay.
And so when the family was launching their foundation, they wanted to work with their bank. And we thought it would be a really nice, innovative thing to do if that was through the open banking payment.
Okay.
So it's NatWest Pay It is the technology, but it's something that Pollinate built. It is applicable to, I think, 93% of the market. So we've integrated with, I think, 11 banks. And whilst your payment experience as a consumer does depend a little bit on the bank you're with.
Yeah, on your own bank.
Exactly, on your own bank and the way they've implemented their open banking experience, especially on a mobile now with app-to-app authentication. Yeah. It's an incredibly slick experience.
Yeah.
And I think...
I used it. I tried it out when it launched, and I was really surprised at how easy, because open banking historically has made authentication quite hard, but the experience was pretty slick. It gave me hope that that direct credit transfer, open banking style payments is really going to get some traction now.
Yeah, I mean, I think it is a really slick experience. I don't know who you bank with, but for me, it was 5 clicks and it was done.
Yeah.
And it was I was on my mobile phone, and it was really, really easy. Look, I think with any means of payment, you've got to meet those fundamental consumer and merchant needs we were talking about.
Yeah.
So as a consumer, how can you make it as easy for me to make an open banking payment as it is to just remember the 3 digits of the back of my code, because it's already saved in my laptop, and I can type in 3 digits and it already knows my billing address and goes through seamlessly.
Yeah.
So, I mean, I think it's a great integration, actually, and everybody should go and donate to the Captain Tom Foundation and try out NatWest Pay It. But then I think getting that consumer and merchant value proposition right, that is when it will really take off.
No, I couldn't agree more. And this idea of making sure that we're actually serving the needs of merchants rather than introducing, in this particular instance, it's really interesting to me that this is really kind of satisfying. It was driven by the kind of Captain Tom Foundation. I think is fantastic. Unbelievably, we're already out of time. 10 minutes. Even when we're talking about a subject that nobody's interested in apart from me, like payments, goes super fast. So Fiona, thank you so much for your time. Particularly as we kind of get towards the summer and everyone's trying to get everything done before we go into that kind of summer recess. I really appreciate your time today. Thanks for joining me.
It's been a pleasure. Thanks so much for having me.
Thanks, Fiona.